Hi everybody, good evening po sa inyong lahat. Magandang gabi po and welcome sa ating third week ng ating mini coaching series na ibinibigay sa inyo, hinahandog sa inyo ng Met Review Center. Now, ayan, actually, I'm so happy na 12 na tayo ngayon. But before that, Happy Father's Day sa mga haligi ng tahanan. Happy Father's Day sa tatay ko. Paps, happy Father's Day. Ayan. At babati muna po ako sa mga nasa room na natin. Hi, Ma'am Meryl. At na po siya. Si Sir Key, andyan na rin. Si Ma'am Eleanor. Ma'am Eleanor, ang premyo mo, kuhain mo na. And then si Ma'am Genevieve from Anda, Bohol. Hi po, Ma'am Genevieve from Bohol. And then, of course, si Ma'am Sheng, Blessed Ventures. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. And today, mga kaibigan, we are blessed. Napaka-privileged po natin na dalawa sa ating mga lecturers ang nasama sa atin ngayong gabi. Ang ang una ay ang magtuturo sa atin ng technology. Ano nga ba? Nakalimutan ko. Technology for teaching and learning. Siyempre, si Sir Marc Sagun yan. At siyempre, after that ay ang the teaching profession na i-handle naman ni Sir Philippe Hernandez. So mga kaibigan, punong-puno po ang ating gabi ngayon. So tingin ko dapat mag-start tayo ng maaga para matapos tayo ng maaga sana, hopefully. At mga kaibigan, kung hindi nyo pa nagagawa, please, pasubscribe naman, my dear friends. Ang sabi ng brother ko, ngayon daw ay 697 na ang ating subscribers. Tatlo na lang. My dear friends, tatlo na lang, ma-achieve natin ang ating hashtag Road to 700. And for the next week, siguro Road to 800 naman. Kaya nga tatlo na lang. Baka naman, please subscribe, pa-share po ng link, and then pa-like po ng mga videos. Ayan. At mga kaibigan, I think we are ready. By the way, bago yan, merong mga taga-Butuan, merong mga taga-Sambuanga, Sibugay. Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat, mga kaibigan, and Happy Father's Day. Ayan. Now, I think we are now ready. I'll call on na ang ating unang lecturer, Sir Marc. Andiyan ka na ba, Sir Marc? Magandang gabi sa iyo.
Hi, Sir EJ.
Hi, Sir Marc. Kamusta naman
Happy
dyan?
Father's Day sa iyo.
Salamat. Thank you. Mamaya humanda ka sa akin. Salamat.
You'll need to download one.
Salamat, Mark, sa bati mo sa akin bilang Happy Father's Day.
Nagulat
Anyway,
ka.
Medj, nagulat ako ng konti. Pero okay lang yan. Mark, so kamusta ka naman dyan? Bati ka naman sa ating mga viewers ngayon.
Well, hi to everybody and I'd like to greet your fathers a happy Father's Day. Ayan. So sana nag-e-enjoy kayo ngayon kasama yung mga families ninyo. And gagawin natin ang lahat para maging mabilis yung lecture and coaching natin for tonight para makapag-dinner kayo with your father and your family.
Totoo. Tama yan, Mark. Pero syempre, kahit mabilis, substantial pa rin. Syempre, yan naman talaga ang quality ng Met eh. Ayan. Tsaka syempre, sabi nga kahapon ni Kevin, if you want more, inquire na sa Hybrid 3.
Yeah. So yung mga pinapakita natin ngayon parang mga ano lang to, sir. Free taste.
Yes, patikim lang yan, di ba? Patikim lang.
Yeah.
So ayan. So again, Sir Mark, pa-remind naman sa to subscribe. Baka naman sa iyo makinig sila.
Yes, gusto ko pong encourage yung bawat isa na i-share itong ating YouTube channel sa inyong mga kakilala na gustong maging aspiring ng mga licensed professional teacher. So, ginagawa natin ito ng libre para makatulong kasi alam natin na pandemic ngayon and yung iba napakarami nating challenges. So gusto namin kayong tulungan na ma-ace yung LET. So hindi lang basta pumasa, gusto namin kayo maging top-notcher.
Yes.
Kaya kailangan ninyo ng mataas na quality ng pagre-review para sa board exam.
Amen dyan. At syempre, this is fulfillment of our promise sa aming mga hybrid students from hybrid 1 hanggang 2 na hindi namin kayo iiwanan sa simula hanggang sa huli. Actually, kayo na mag-asawa sa amin. Kaya having said that, Mark, siguro, pwede ka na magsimula, Mark.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sir EJ, sa pag-i-introduce sa akin. So, yun, good evening again sa lahat. Okay? And happy Father's Day to everybody. So ngayon, let's start with today's first session ng mini coaching natin. So ang subject natin for the first session will be technology for teaching and learning. So alam naman natin no na since nag-transition tayo from the old normal, which is the face-to-face setup, ngayon naman is nag-transition tayo sa online learning or sa remote teaching and learning. So we are expecting na ang konteksto ng mga tanong sa licensure exam for professional teachers is in the context of online learning. Okay, so makakatulong itong pagre-review natin sa technology for teaching and learning doon sa kontekstong yun. At syempre sa EdTech subject. So I'd like to introduce again myself to you. I am Marc Lester John A. Sagun at ako yung lecturer para dito. So let's proceed to the first question. Okay? So for the first question, sabi dito, the following are the responsibilities of an educational technology center of a school except. So anong ibig sabihin yan? Lahat daw yan ay responsibilities or role ng EdTech Center sa loob ng isang eskwelahan maliban sa isa. So naghahanap tayo sa isang hindi role ng EdTech, no? So is it letter A? To ensure that learning resources will be accessible for teachers and students. Okay? So responsibilidad ba yan ng EdTech Center? Is it letter B? Collaborate with teachers in researching about new educational technologies. So maaring ano ba yung mga pwedeng technologies na gamitin para magturo ng biology or ngayon na wala tayong laboratory, science laboratory, ano kaya yung mga pwede nating gamitin na mga technologies, no, para as an alternative doon sa face-to-face nating laboratory activities. So, trabaho din kaya yan ng EdTech Center? Is it letter C, organize training for teachers on how to use technology tools? Okay, mag-organize o gumawa ng mga trainings para sa mga teacher kung paano gumamit ng technology tools, which is ginagawa yan ngayon. Patuloy na ginagawa yan since napakarami pa ring teacher na hindi ganon ka-tech savvy or technology savvy. So, yung iba, no, sa inyo, for sure, hindi pa masyado technology savvy. But, makakayanan natin yan. So, is it letter D? Create the technology projects for the students. Gawin daw. So, role ba ng EdTech Center na gawin yung technology projects ng mga estudyante? So, is it letter A, letter B, letter C, or letter D? So, based on your answer, no, karamihan sa inyo ang sinagot is letter D. Siyempre, that's the correct answer, letter D. Bakit? Hindi trabaho ng EdTech Center ng isang eskwelahan na gawin yung project ng estudyante, no? So, ang may responsibility para gumawa ng technology project niya syempre yung estudyante din mismo. Okay? So, ang role ng EdTech Center is siguro gumawa ng projects na patungkol sa paggawa ng trainings, mag-organize ng trainings, project na kung saan yung magkakaroon ng workshops about sa paggamit ng mga educational technologies. Pero yung pagkikreate, paggawa ng technology projects ng mga estudyante, hindi po yan trabaho ng EdTech Center. All right? So the answer here is letter D. Next, what type of knowledge refers to the ability of the teachers to formulate objectives, design activities, and assessing learning outcomes? Okay? So dito ang pinag-uusapan natin, ayan, so bago natin sagutan yan, is pag-usapan muna natin yung TPAC framework. Meron tayong topic na TPAC framework. Ano ba tong TPAC framework na to? It means technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. According to Punya Mishra and Matthew J. Cowler, no? So according to them, sila yung proponent nitong framework na to. According to them, ang teacher daw dapat merong 3 klase. Okay? Or 3 na primary knowledge. Uulitin ko lang, ikaw at ako, dapat meron tayong 3 primary knowledge. Okay? The first knowledge na dapat meron tayo ay yung tinatawag na technological knowledge. Pag sinabi nating technological knowledge, ito yung knowledge natin about sa paggamit ng technology. Okay? Uulitin ko lang. So pag sinabi nating technological knowledge, ito yung knowledge natin, kakayahan natin, kaalaman natin sa paggamit ng technology. Minention ko kanina na nag-transition na tayo into the new normal wherein ang learning delivery modality na natin is through online. So, imposible na hindi tayo marunong sa technology at nakakapagturo tayo. So, isa sa pinaka skill na dapat meron ng isang teacher, dapat maalam siya sa technology. According to Punya Mishra and Matthew J. Cowler, ang isang teacher daw ay dapat fit. Lagi kong tinatanong yung mga estudyante ko, tignan mo nga yung katawan mo, fit ka ba ngayon? O tumaba tayo kasi kaka-grab food natin or kakalala, lala food or food panda. Pero pag sinabi nating fit, it doesn't mean na century 2 na body, na macho tayo or pang Boracay yung katawan natin. Pag sinabi nating fit, it means fluency in information technology. Fluent ka ba sa paggamit ng technology? Alam mo bang gumamit ng mga learning management system, which is yun yung ginagamit natin ngayon ng mga application? Marunong ka ba gumamit ng Zoom? Marunong ka ba gumamit ng laptop? Marunong ka ba mag-share ng screen? Marunong ka ba gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation mo? So dapat oo, kasi teacher tayo. And according to them, to Punya Mishra and Matthew J. Cowler, isa yan sa primary knowledge na meron ng isang teacher. Dapat maalam ka sa technology. Now, my question to all of you, bilang teacher, I want you to rate yourself right now. Assess yourself. Rate 1 to 10. 1 is the lowest and 10 as the highest. Ano sa tingin ninyo? I-rate ninyo yung technological knowledge ninyo from 1 to 10. 10 as the highest. Sige nga, let me know on the chat box. Put it on the chat box, please. I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 10. 10 as the highest. So, gaano ka nakaalam sa technology? Gaano ka kaalam or ka-knowledgeable sa pag-a-apply ng technology sa pagtuturo at maging sa pagkatuto ng mga estudyante natin? Let me know on the chat box. Put it on the chat box, please. Ayan. So, si Ma'am Charmaine, 6. Sige, patingin nga ako ng iba. Alright, yung iba 8.5, yung iba 7, yung iba naman 8. Sige, just keep going, no? Put it on the chat box. Si Dwight, it's 8, 7, merong 8.5, 7.5. So, gusto ko lang i-reiterate at i-remind ang bawat isa na pag-aralan natin gumamit ng technology. No, kasi ito na yung isa sa mga 21st century skill ng isang estudyante at maging ng isang guro, ang technological skills, no? So yan yung isa sa TPAC, no, or sa knowledge, sa 3 primary knowledge na meron dapat ng isang teacher. The second knowledge na dapat meron ng isang teacher ay tinatawag nating pedagogical knowledge. So kanina T, ngayon naman P, that's pedagogical knowledge. So pag sinabi nating pedagogical knowledge, it is the advanced knowledge of the teachers about the methods, about the strategies in teaching and in learning. Kaya nga meron tayong mga prof ed subjects, di ba? Meron tayong facilitating student-centered learning na subject, principles of teaching, wherein tinuturuan tayo ng iba't ibang strategies, iba't ibang methods, tinuturuan tayo ng iba't ibang theories kung paano natin mai-improve yung teaching and learning, kung paano natin mai-improve yung pagiging conducive ng learning environment natin. Mga example niyan is yung mga game-based pedagogy. Isa pang example niyan is yung distance learning, blended learning, collaborative learning. Natutunan din natin yung constructivism at kung ano-ano pa, no? So, yung advanced knowledge natin about teaching, about learning, ang tawag po doon ay pedagogical knowledge. Okay? So, yan yung advanced knowledge natin about sa pagtuturo, about sa pagkatuto, about sa assessment. That is pedagogical knowledge. And then, last but not the least, the third na primary knowledge na meron tayong mga teacher dapat ay ang content knowledge. So dapat knowledgeable ka about sa itinuturo mo. You have a solid understanding of what you teach. So kapag English teacher ka, alam mo dapat yung figures of speech, alam mo dapat yung parts of a sentence, alam mo dapat yung parts of a short story, alam mo dapat yung dependent and independent clauses. Yun yung expectation sa'yo kasi you are an English teacher. So tatandaan ninyo kapag nasa classroom tayo, ang tingin sa atin ng mga estudyante natin, all-knowing tayo. At kung ano man yung sinasabi natin, paniniwalaan nila yon. So make sure na tayong mga teacher, tama yung itinuturo nating content sa mga estudyante natin. Kung hindi, madadala nila yan. Katulad na lang nung lagi kong binabanggit sa inyo na nung elementary tayo siguro, ang tawag sa brain of the computer is the CPU. And then ang itsura ng CPU, yung malaking box. No. Pagdating nung college, natutunan ko na yung malaking box na yon hindi pala CPU tawag doon, kung hindi system unit. Yung CPU pala ay yung maliit na microchip lang sa loob ng motherboard, no, na may brand na Intel tsaka AMD, no? So ano pa ang tawag natin doon sa thumb-like device, storage device na meron tayo ay USB. Yun pala ang tawag doon is flash drive. So kung ano man yung tinuturo nyo sa mga estudyante ninyo, make sure na tama. Kaya ang content knowledge ay isa sa mga primary knowledge na dapat meron ang isang teacher. Alright? So yan yung tatlo. Technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge. Balikan natin yung question. So what type of knowledge refers to the ability of the teachers to formulate objectives, designing activities, and assessing learning outcomes? Kung mapapansin niyo ito, no, yung mga binanggit na activities or task, it's all about teaching, no? It's all about assessment, pagfo-formulate ng objective, pagde-design ng activity, pag-assess ng learning outcomes. So wala tayong teaching knowledge, walang nabanggit niyan sa TPAC framework. So i-cancel natin si letter A. Si content knowledge, as I've mentioned a while ago, so sabi ko sa inyo yung content knowledge is our knowledge about the subject matter. So wala naman yung pinag-uusapan na subject matter. Hindi rin yan instructional knowledge. So ang tamang term is letter C, pedagogical knowledge. Okay? So yan. So the answer here is letter C. The next question is, ito. Tignan natin kung magiging tama kayo. What knowledge refers to a teacher's solid understanding about a subject matter? So ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung solid na kaalaman mo about sa kung ano yung itinuturo mo, yung subject matter, yung specialization mo, okay? Yung subject mo sa klase. Is it letter A, pedagogical knowledge? Is it letter B, subject knowledge? Is it letter C, content knowledge? Or is it letter D, technological knowledge? Put your answers on the chat box, please. All right, so Razel, Lena, Dwight, Eleanor, Jason, Jill, si Kay, Ernest, Jennifer, Francis, Ricardo, si Sheng, Mary, Genevieve, Daryl, Lorenzo, at kung sino-sino pa. So you answered letter C. So kanina pinag-usapan natin na pag ang knowledge, ang isa sa primary knowledge ng teacher, dapat alam niya kung ano yung itinuturo niya. So the subject matter. So the answer here is letter C, content knowledge. Okay, so very good everyone. Now, next. So ngayon naman, let's proceed with the technology integration. Okay, so technology integration. So the question is, what level of technology integration is reached by teacher Lemery, who builds a learning environment that instills the power of technology tools throughout the day and across subject area? Okay, so ano daw ang level ng technology integration na kung saan yung teacher is ini-instill niya, okay, yung power ng technology o yung role o yung pwedeng magawa ng technology tools sa buhay natin at across to other subject areas. So tignan natin, ano? All right. So bago yung sagot, yan. I-review muna natin ano-ano yung different levels of technology integration. So meron tayong tinatawag, the first level is the entry level. So pag sinabi nating entry, the teacher begins to use technology tools to deliver curriculum content to the students. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung technology tools, okay, entry siya, entry yung technology integration kapag yung technology tools ginagamit lang natin to deliver curriculum content to the students. Ibig sabihin, ginagamit lang natin siya to present our lesson to the students. The best, I think the best example here is gumagamit tayo for example ng Zoom para ma-deliver ko sa inyo yung mini coaching ngayong gabi. No? So ginagamit natin yung Zoom, wala nang iba kung hindi para i-present ko lang sa inyo kung ano yung dapat ninyong matutunan ngayong gabing ito. That's entry. So ibig sabihin sa entry, ang master o ang gumagamit lang, na pinaka-gumagamit lang ng technology ay yung teacher. Siya yung nagko-control ng lahat, siya yung nag-share ng screen, siya ang nagsiset kung ano lang yung pwedeng gawin ng mga estudyante sa loob ng Zoom. Wala nang ibang pwedeng gawin yung mga estudyante kundi maupo lang, no? At makinig sa kung ano yung pine-present ng teacher. So that's entry. Ginagamit ko yung tool, ginagamit ko yung application, ginagamit ko yung device para lang mag-present ng curriculum content sa inyo o mag-present ng lesson sa inyo. That's entry. Next, meron tayong tinatawag na adoption. Okay? So pag sinabi nating adoption, si teacher, sabi dyan, the teacher directs. So the keyword here is directs the students in conventional and procedural use of technology tools. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Si teacher, inuutusan niya lang si estudyante, dinidiktahan niya lang si estudyante, binibigyan niya lang ng instruction si estudyante kung paano gagamitin ang technology tools. Ulitin ko po, pag sinabi nating adoption, the teacher directs the students. That's the key phrase. The keyword here is directs. Okay, si teacher, nagpo-provide lang siya ng instruction. Step-by-step instruction. Procedure kung paano gamitin yung technology tool. For example, okay, paano gumawa ng new document sa Microsoft Word? Step number 1. Sasabihin ng teacher, step number 1, sabay-sabay tayo. Step number 1, buksan ang Microsoft Word. O kapag tapos na kayo, for example, screenshot ninyo and then ilagay ninyo sa chat box. Step number 2, okay? Gumawa ng blank document. Pindutin, blank document. Okay? Step number 3, step number 4. So ang nasusunod pa rin dito ay si teacher. Pero ang pinagkaiba niya kanina sa entry, ang pinaka gumagamit lang kanina sa entry ay ang teacher. dito sa adoption, both teachers and students are using the technology. Pero ang nasusunod pa rin ay si teacher. Siya pa rin ang nag-uutos. Siya pa rin ang nagdadirect kung paano gagamitin yung technology tool. That's adoption. Okay? The third one. The third one is the adaptation. Okay? So pag sinabi nating adaptation, the teacher facilitates. Okay? So anong role ng teacher? Ang role ng teacher is just to facilitate the students. At ano ngayon ang ginagawa ng estudyante? They are exploring and independently using technology tools. Uulitin ko, ang ginagawa ng teacher ay mag-facilitate lang. Okay? At ang gagawin ng estudyante, sila ang mag-e-explore at sila ang gagamit para maintindihan nila kung paano gamitin yung application, kung paano gamitin yung device. For example, okay class, gagawa tayo ngayon ng website. Okay? At gusto kong pumunta kayo sa wix.com. Okay? Wix.com. And then, gusto ko i-explore ninyo yung wix.com. I-explore ninyo kung paano mag-sign up. Mag-explore kayo kung paano mag-insert ng picture. Mag-explore kayo kung paano mag-insert ng video. At kapag may question kayo, sabihin nyo lang sa akin. Okay? And mamaya, after ng exploration ninyo, magkakaroon tayo ng question and answer. No? Magkakaroon tayo ng konting discussion kung paano gamitin ang wix.com. So, ibig sabihin, bibigyan ng time yung mga estudyante na i-explore yung application, i-explore yung device, mag-construct ng knowledge kung paano gamitin yung technology tool, at si teacher nandun lang kung paano si teacher nandun lang para mag-facilitate. Okay? So that's for the adaptation. Next is the infusion. So pag sinabi naman nating infusion, the teacher just provide the learning context. At anong gagawin ng estudyante? The students will choose the technology tools to achieve the outcome. Anong ibig sabihin nun? No? Ang ibig sabihin nun, si teacher sasabihin niya lang kung anong gagawin. Okay, class, I want you to create a video. And then bahala kayo kung anong application yung gusto niyong yung app na gagamitin ninyo as long as makagawa kayo ng video. Hindi kaya gaya kanina sa adaptation, si teacher pa rin ang nagbigay ng tool which is wix.com. Dito sa infusion, sasabihin lang ni teacher anong gagawin, anong konteksto, at yung estudyante ang mamimili. Okay? Kung anong app yung nararapat, anong device yung nararapat para ma-achieve niya yung learning outcome. Para ma-achieve niya yung pinapagawa ng teacher. Okay? So that's for the infusion. Okay? And then last but not the least is the transformation. Pag sinabi nating transformation, yung technology tools, ginagamit na siya to facilitate higher order learning activities that not have been possible without the use of technology. So sa transformation, dito na tinuturuan yung mga estudyante. So ibig sabihin, dito sa transformation is itinuturo na sa estudyante kung paano pwede gamitin yung technology sa pang-araw-araw na buhay. Okay, daily activities, pagfa-facilitate, paggamit sa paggamit ng higher order paggawa ng higher order learning activities. So pagdating sa transformation, itinuturo kung paano i-apply ito sa real life. Okay? Kung paano to gamitin, no? Yung technology integration is kung paano na siya gamitin sa iba't ibang aspeto ng buhay natin, sa iba't ibang subject matter, pwede sa transformation. So ngayon, balik tayo dun sa question. Okay? So the question here is, what level of technology integration is reached or achieved by Teacher Lay Marie, who builds the learning environment that instills the power of technology tools throughout the day? Paano gamitin? Ano yung power? Ano yung kakayahan ng technology tools na pwede nating magamit throughout the day and across subject areas? Okay? So parang ito na yung dahil sobrang integrated na tayo sa technology, hindi na natin siya maialis sa sarili natin araw-araw. So the answer here is letter. Let me know on the chat box, what is your answer for this question? Is it letter A, infusion? Is it letter B, adaptation? Is it letter C, transformation? Is it letter D, adoption? Let me know your answers on the chat box. Okay, so I'm waiting for your answers on the chat box. All right. So medyo mabagal lang yata sa YouTube. Okay, so yan. The answer here is letter C, transformation. It instills, di ba, instills the power of technology tools throughout the day. Paano ba siya gamitin sa pang-araw-araw na buhay? No, nagagamit na natin siya in our daily lives. As a matter of fact, technology has been an integral part of our daily lives. Parang hindi na tayo mabubuhay nang walang smartphone, hindi na tayo makakapag-aral without the use of our laptops, of our computer. So ang level na ng technology integration is transformation. Yung tipong hindi natin magagawa yung task ng walang technology. Ganun na siya ka-integrated sa buhay natin. Okay? So yan. Next. Yan, medyo magulo yata yung PowerPoint ko. Hindi ko naayos kanina. But anyway, let's proceed to the next question. Which of the following shows, o ito na, ano dito sa mga to, sa options, yung nagpapakita ng technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. So, combination na siya nung tatlo. Alin dito ang nagpapakita ng technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge in preparing for grade 4 math class. Okay? So is it letter A? Allow students to find apps in the internet and share them with classmates? Is it letter B? Ask students to watch video downloaded from YouTube and ask students to summarize the video? Is it letter C? Evaluate math app on application on multiplication, match them with learner skill level, demonstrate use of apps, allow students to explore, and ask students to summarize the lesson? Is it letter D? Check math competencies of grade 4 students as basis for answering multiplication exercises on the board. So is it, tingnan natin kung anong tamang sagot. Yung letter A daw, hayaan ng mga estudyante, i-allow yung mga estudyante na maghanap ng app sa internet at i-share sa kaklase nila. So what do you think? Ang knowledge dyan, ang pinapakitang knowledge lang dyan ay technological knowledge kasi maghahanap ka lang ng app sa internet kasi i-share mo lang sa classmate mo. B, ask students to watch video downloaded from YouTube and ask students to summarize the video. So, ang pwede nating makita dito na TPAC skill I think it's a technological content knowledge. Kasi una, yung estudyante pinag-download ng video sa YouTube, that is a technological knowledge. Tapos i-summarize yung video, that is content knowledge. Okay? So that's letter B, hindi rin siya yung tamang sagot. Letter C, evaluate yung math app on multiplication. Evaluate math app, that is technological knowledge. At hindi mo ma-evaluate yung application sa hindi mo ma-evaluate yung math app sa paggamit ng multiplication kung wala kang content knowledge, kung hindi mo alam kung paano mag-multiply. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, dito pa lang sa unang linya, ang makikita na natin is technological content knowledge. And then yung susunod, match them with learner skill level. So, ibig sabihin, yan ay pedagogical knowledge. So, I think the answer here is letter, What do you think? The answer here is letter C. So yan o, una pa lang, evaluate math app. So app is a technological knowledge, multiplication, content knowledge, match them with learner skill level, that is pedagogical knowledge. So yan. Yung letter D naman, check math competencies of grade 4 students as basis for answering multiplication exercises on the board. So this is pedagogical content knowledge. So the answer here is letter C. Next. So yan, ano ulit tayo? Levels of technology integration. What technology integration is achieved by teacher Maricar, who encourages adaptation tool-based software by allowing students to choose a tool and modify its use to accomplish a task at hand. So anong sitwasyon dito? Si Teacher Maricar, hinahayaan niya na yung mga estudyante ang mag-choose, pipili ng appropriate tool para ma-accomplish yung task na pinapagawa niya. Is it letter A, adaptation, B, transformation, C, adoption, or letter D, infusion? So what is your answer? So very good. The answer here is letter D, infusion. The teacher is just providing the learning context, and then the teacher will allow the students to choose kung ano yung appropriate technology tool for that. So the answer here is letter D, infusion. Next. So yan. What technology integration is achieved by Teacher Lawrence creates a rich learning environment in which students engage daily in activities that would have been impossible to achieve without technology. So kumbaga dito, hindi na maialis sa mga estudyante yung paggamit ng technology. Parang imposible nang i-achieve yung task at hand without the use of technology. So is it letter A, adoption? Is it letter B? Nako, so dito naulit yung adoption. So is it letter A, adoption, B, adoption, C, infusion, or D, transformation? So the answer here is letter D, transformation. Kasi ulitin ko lang sa transformation, so ito yung parang impossible to achieve. Ito yung pagfa-facilitate ng higher order learning activities that parang imposible na ma-achieve without the use of technology. So the answer here is letter D, transformation. Next. Yan, Mr. Arceo evaluate an app for grade 11 science, ensuring that standard competencies are included and are not too easy or too difficult for students. He focuses on the criteria for blank. So si Mr. Arceo daw, ini-evaluate niya yung isang application na pwede sa grade 11 science. Ini-ensure niya, sinisigurado niya na yung competencies ay na-cover, and at the same time, yung content ay hindi masyado madali at hindi rin masyado mahirap para sa estudyante. So ano kaya yung criteria na tinitignan dito ni Mr. Arceo? Is it letter A, organization, B, accuracy, C, currency, D, appropriateness? So the answer here is letter D, appropriateness. So appropriate kaya yung content sa mga estudyante? Hindi kaya siya masyado mataas para sa mga grade 11? Hindi rin kaya siya masyado mahirap? Or hindi rin siya masyado madali? Tama lang, match lang, appropriate lang para sa grade 11 students. So the answer here is letter D, appropriateness. Yan. And then next, ito, ano uli tayo? Levels of technology integration. So Teacher Melinda applies collaborative learning but also allow students to use technology to collaborate with peers and experts regardless of time zone or physical distances through blogging. This level of technology integration is blank. So kung titignan natin dito, ang pinag-uusapan natin ay distance learning. 'Di ba? Regardless of time zone or physical distances. So that's distance learning. At ano nga ba yung imposibleng mangyari, imposibleng ma-achieve yung learning activities without the use of technology? Ganun ang distance learning eh. Imposible siyang walang technology tool. Imposibleng magawa natin yung distance learning nang walang technology tool. Ibig sabihin, the answer here is letter C, transformation. Okay? So these are the learning activities that would have been impossible to achieve without the use of technology. Next. Yan. I think this is the last one for tonight. So Teacher Lerick allowed his students to conduct a survey through an online form with different devices. So si Teacher Lerick daw is inalaw niya, hinayaan niya yung mga estudyante na mag-conduct ng survey sa pamamagitan ng online form, okay, sa pamamagitan ng mga different devices. So ano kaya yung naging part ng ICT sa activity niya? So is it ICT for producing? Is it ICT for communicating? Is it ICT for researching? Or is it letter D, ICT for problem solving? So syempre naman, survey. So what do you think is the answer? So the answer here is letter C, ICT for researching. So hopefully, yan lang. Diyan nagtatapos yung ating lecture for tonight. Hopefully kahit sa 10 questions na yan, ay marami kayong natutunan. Maraming salamat sa inyo sa pagsama niyo sa amin ngayong gabi, and continue to subscribe, share this video, and share our channel to your friends. So salamat, and back to you, Sir EJ.
Maraming salamat, Mark. Thank you very much. At talaga namang tingin ko kahit 10 items na yun, talaga maraming natutunan ng mga estudyante. And tingin ko dapat, ano na tayo siguro? Dire-diretso na tayo. I think, andyan rin si Sir Philip. Sir Philip, andyan ka na ba? Sir Philip, magandang gabi.
Magandang gabi po.
Kamusta ka naman dyan sa Manila, Sir Philip?
Okay naman po. Biglang bubuhos ang malakas na ulan. But,
talaga ba? Nako. Anyway, Sir Philip, may good news ako sa'yo.
Yeah.
Na-reach na natin ang ating target for this week. We have now 701 subscribers sa ating YouTube channel.
Wow.
Ayan.
Organic yan. Walang binabayarang bots at trolls yan. Talagang totoong tao ang nagsasubscribe.
Totoo.
So please continue spreading the word. Remember, we're gonna have our licensure examinations for professional teachers in 4 batches. Okay, so far wala pa naman, di ba, Sir Edward, ina-announce na i-atras nila. Sana wag nang i-atras. Okay? Our country needs teachers, licensed teachers at that. So please share the information to your colleagues. Lalo pa ang mga very soon ay sasabak na para sa kanilang licensure exams.
Okay, Sir Philip, take it away. Ikaw na.
All right, thank you. So just allow me to share my my slides. Sandali lang po. Okay, so once again, good evening, everybody. I'm Philippe Hernandez from the University of Santo Tomas. I'll be talking to you about two subjects or 2 courses, the teaching profession, and sa bagong curriculum, ang tawag na sa subject na ito ay the teacher, the community, school culture, and organizational leadership. Sa luma nating curriculum, we call this social dimensions of education. Okay, so in the next 10 questions, you'll similar to the LEPT format, nandoon ang mga tanong, nandoon na rin ang sagot, at ating babalikan o ating hihimayin bakit siya ang tamang sagot over the other choices. All right. This role of a teacher complements that of the discipline coordinators and the guidance counselors. Okay? So, titingnan mo, okay, based on this particular question, ang sagot ay letter A, which is values formator. Notice that the keywords are discipline coordinator and guidance counselor. Yun yung keyword dun sa ating statement. Disciplinarian is found as a choice. Counselor is also found as a choice. Facilitator is a role of a teacher pero hindi siya directly related, okay, sa character development ng bata. So you're left with 3 options: values formator, disciplinarian, and counselor. Here, when you analyze the item, remember in STEM option or multiple choice type tests, kung talagang maayos ang pagkakakonstruct ng test questions at ng choices, halos lahat, if not lahat ng choices ay valid. So hahanapin mo hindi lamang ang correct answer, hahanapin mo ang best answer. Right? Maybe disciplinarian has value. After all, nandun na yung keyword. Maybe counselor can be the answer. Nandun din ang keyword. Pero meron pang mas magandang sagot. At bakit siya mas naging maganda? Because this particular answer of the values formator is from a broader perspective. Okay? Disciplining children is part of values formation. Although admittedly, it is sometimes viewed in the punitive sense, yung nagpaparusa ka. When you counsel students who are undergoing difficulties or who have problems, personal, academic, or social problems, okay, sometimes even spiritual, okay, you are also forming their values. So if you have a situation na merong 3 choices, pero yung 2 sa choices ay limited ang kanilang scope. Ang letter B, disciplinarian, ay pang-discipline lang. Ang counselor, letter C, ay pang-guidance counselor lang. Choose the one, dahil best answer, choose the one that can encapsulate both. Okay, so ang sagot dito ay letter A. Next, Nico conducted a research and found that LEPT takers had criticisms regarding the exam's quality, particularly the presence of grammatical errors and repeated questions. His findings are then damaging to the state. Ang estado, hindi lamang natin binabanggit dito ang bansa. Okay, pero remember, this is the state. Okay? What should he do as stated in the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers? Okay? The answer here is letter D, which is to bring the findings to the attention of the concerned government agency. Makikita natin ang eksplanasyon, pagpapaliwanag dito sa scenario na ito sa Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers. Remember that the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers is not a law. Hindi po siya pinasa ng Kongreso. Wala rin siya sa saligang batas. Ngunit, ang Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers ay ginawa ng Board of Professional Teachers ng Professional Regulation Commission or PRC, na siyang mag-i-issue ng inyong mga lisensya very soon. Okay? Kami ay nananalig that you will all earn your license at the soonest possible time. Okay? Hindi po sinasabi ng Code of Ethics na huwag kang mag-research. Hindi rin sinasabi ng Code of Ethics na magsinungaling ka sa research. Hindi sinasabi ng Code of Ethics na ang dapat mo lamang ilathala o ilimbag ay ang mga magaganda at kapuri-puring mga datos. Ang hinihiling lamang ng Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers ay kung ang iyong mga datos, ang iyong mga findings ay magiging criticism o magpapakita ng kamalian, okay? Lalo pa sa mga programa ng gobyerno, dalhin mo muna sa ahensya ng gobyerno na dapat lumutas ng problemang yun. Okay? So, that's the right option. In this particular case, sa klase ng question na ito, hindi kayo naghahanap ng best answer. Naghahanap kayo ng correct answer. At may ganun ding klaseng mga tanong sa licensure exams. Okay? Not all of the questions are asking you what's best. Okay? Not all of the questions are asking you what's closest. Some of the questions are so exacting, okay? So specific that what you need is the correct answer. Kaya aminin ko sa inyo, hindi basta-basta, basta gets ko na yung keywords, okay na ako. Okay? Kasi hindi natin sigurado kung ang mga tanong na maibibigay sa atin sa licensure exams are those asking us to, exercise our best judgment and determine alin ang pinakamaayos, or talagang hahanapin, okay, at talagang susukatin kung okay ang memory mo. Next, interagency efforts, okay, among agencies, for example, like the Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, the Professional Regulation Commission, and the Civil Service Commission can be best attained for the training and development of teachers when there is blank. Okay? So the answer here is coordination. Tingnan natin yung konteksto. There are 4 agencies. Ang keyword mo, inter. Okay, so they have to interact with one another. They will relate with each other. They cannot be independent, totally independent of each other. At ang reason kung bakit sila magi-interact is because they want to train and develop the teachers. When you say streamlining has the connotation na magbabawas ka ng mga tao. Okay? You will remove redundancies. Okay? You will centralize things. Right? Kapag streamlining ang nangyayari, what usually happens is that some of the old positions, some of the old offices, sometimes even agencies are collapsed in favor of the streamlined version. Okay? Hindi naman sinasabi dito sa question na ito o dito sa sitwasyon na ito na tatanggalin mo ang isang ahensya. Agency integration is precisely the same thing. Diyan, napakatahasan na niyang sinasabi na ang mga ahensyang ito ay magsasama-sama. But that's not the case. Cost reduction usually has as a victim training and development. Okay? Madalas, lalo pa pag kayo nagpaplano ng budget, ang madalas pong nasasalang o nabibiktima ng cost cutting ang training and development. Bakit? Kasi uunahin mo ang operations. Uunahin mo ang salary. Ang training and development, aminin natin, yan ay very nice to have, pero hindi siya ang basic. Okay? Ang basic mo ay salary at ang basic mo ay operations. Okay? So, training and development is at times optional. And in some schools, it's actually even a benefit. Alright? So, ang tamang sagot dito ay letter A. Hindi nangangahulugan na kapag kayo ay nakakita ng choices, hahanapin mo yung pinaka-bombastic, hahanapin mo yung pinaka-highfalutin ng words, hahanapin mo yung pinaka-mukhang pang-matalino na word, okay, na parang malalim ang kahulugan. Hindi. Hindi dahil may keyword na bago sa pandinig o bago sa ating paningin, automatic siya na ang sagot. Sometimes it can be a very simple and a very common word, for as long as it actually fits the situation or it actually fits that particular question, okay, that was asked. A learner must first attain this for him or herself before being able to fully learn to live together. So ito ay para sa sarili mo muna. Bago ka matutong makisalamuha at mabuhay kasama ng iba ng mahinahon at matiwasay, alright, kailangan meron ka muna nito for yourself. Tanggal na kagad si letter A. Find peace with his family. This requires other people. It will have an impact on you, but this option requires other people. So, kung talagang for him or herself lang, maaring hindi yan ang best option. Look at the remaining three. Find peace within oneself, attain an altruistic mind, and become self-actualized. Sa psychology, matututunan natin ang self-actualization is one of the desires or one of the last stages, if I'm not mistaken, the last stage in Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory. Okay? Kapag ikaw ay nagkaroon ng buhay na proud ka, happy ka, fulfilled ka, okay, remember class, magkaiba ang taong successful sa taong fulfilled. Pwedeng very successful ka pero hindi ka pa rin masaya. Remember that? That is why I am actually hoping for you would-be professional teachers that yes, especially in the early years of your career, please be successful. That's my prayer. But never think that success is actually the goal of everything. Success is maybe a way to boost your confidence. Success is a way maybe to validate yourself. Success is a way maybe to earn a living and to have a decent and comfortable life. But success is not the end goal. I hope and I pray that you will also learn how, or you'll also experience fulfillment in the things that you do. Okay? Because fulfillment will grant you something that success alone will not be able to give you. And that is peace of mind. All right? When you are successful, enjoy it. Okay? But remember that your time as a successful human being, as a successful professional, is limited and fast. May mga taon, parang lahat ng success, okay, dumating. Kaya syempre, iba ang level ng saya mo, okay? Pero may mga taon din na parang bagsak, parang stagnant ka. Maybe may failures pa nga. Okay? And the danger, if you're only chasing after success, okay, the danger is you'll always consider yourself inadequate. Okay? When you realize, and this is true, that when you chase success, you'll realize there's always someone better than you. There will always be someone younger than you, perhaps more good-looking than you, more dynamic, more qualified, etc. Okay? Kasi success is measured also against other people. But fulfillment is different. Fulfillment is something that, you enjoy. Parang when you see something that you could have wanted, yeah, you may want it, but you're not gonna die if you don't get it. Because you're happy and you're thankful with what you have. And that is finding peace within oneself. So, sir, bakit hindi na lang yung become self-actualized? Because self-actualization, following Erickson's perspective, can come later in life ba? Diyos me, yun naman, senior citizen ka na bago mo pa makuha yun. Okay? But this one is necessary because you need to learn how to live together with other people. So the one that is closer, that is more realistic, is finding peace within oneself. Okay? This decree, this is a memory question. This decree provided for the establishment of a primary school for boys and girls in each town of the country. So this is about the historical foundations of education. Okay? Sadista ang pagkakagawa ng choices dito. This is actually, pag nakita ito ng assessment teacher ninyo, may inis siya sa akin kapag nakita niya yan. Okay? Bakit? Kasi isa yan sa mga tinuturo natin na dapat hindi ganyan. Dapat hindi ka lang naglalaro ng dates. For example, kailan dumating si Magellan? March 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? When you become professional teachers, don't do that. But I intentionally included this because I tell you from experience, there may be questions like these in the licensure exams. Okay? So you have to be ready for questions that are well-constructed and at the same time for the questions that are not well-constructed. Okay? Because there will be no room and time to appeal on the actual examination day. So itong klase ng tanong na ito, this is a memory question. And this is related to our Spanish history, okay, in the Philippines. The answer is Educational Decree of 1863. Isa pa na memory question. Ito naman, legal foundation. The second objective for secondary education prepares the learner for this based on Batas Pambansa 232, panahon nito ni Pangulong Marcos, or the Education Act of 1982. So part of your training in the teaching profession is to be able to familiarize yourself with pertinent and important education laws. Okay? These education laws may be as old as Educational Decree of 1863 or as recent as the Values Education and GMRC Act. Okay? In this scenario, magiging familiar kayo sa mga number ng batas, 232, 7722, 7796. Right? In this particular case, the Education Act of 1982, secondary education has several objectives. The second objective is to prepare learners for college. Okay? Hindi pa kino-contemplate masyado ng 1980s na Philippines ang workplace after basic education. Meron ng TechVoc, pero hindi pa tayo ganun ka-open sa idea na after mag-high school ng bata, diretso TechVoc para trabaho na. The senior high school curriculum, the K-12's senior high school TechVoc track is changing that now. May mga bata, may mga pamilya beginning to embrace na ang kanilang mga anak ay maaring hindi talaga para sa kolehiyo. O talagang kailangan na nilang kumita ng pera. Okay? Para makatulong sa bahay. That is why they already embrace TechVoc. Okay? As the option, at pagkatapos ng bata ng TechVoc at ng kanyang basic education, pwede na siya magtrabaho. In Batas Pambansa 232, secondary education was not necessarily a preparation for TechVoc. It was a preparation for college. Next, the professionalization of teacher education made this a requirement for teachers. So meron kang keyword, professionalization. Okay? Required ba ang master's degree? Hindi naman. Ideal yan for basic education. Required siya sa college or sa university na dapat ang nagtuturo ay may master's. Pero admittedly, hindi mo kailangan ng master's para masabi mong ikaw ay guro. Kailangan mo ng bachelor's degree. Okay? Kailangan mo ng continuing professional education. Alright? Pero yung mga bagay na yan ay dati nang nariyan, like bachelor's degree, o hindi pa siya kinailangan nung time na nagsabing may licensure exams na. CPD, hey, remember CPD, even though there were practices about CPD before, it only became really stabilized or institutionalized across the professions with the Republic Act 10912, okay, which is the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. So ang talagang ginawang requirement ay ang letter C, professional license. Para pwede kang matawag na teacher kung ikaw ay may bachelor's degree ng education. Pero hindi nangangahulugan na ikaw ay isang licensed professional teacher. Okay? These are all beneficiaries of the Teacher Education Development Program except. So para masagot mo itong tanong na to, o para makumpleto mo ang pangungusap na ito, kailangan mong maunawaan o maalala ano nga ba mga elemento ng Teacher Education Development Program. Para kanino ba ang Teacher Education Development Program? So if you remember that diagram, it begins with the entry to teacher education. Okay? Entry to teacher education kapag ikaw ay first year college. Okay? In the College of Education. Tapos magpa-practicum ka, tapos gagraduate ka, magla-licensure exams ka, mag-hiring process, and then magiging professional teacher ka na in service training, hired faculty member, until eventually you reach retirement. Okay? So yun na simula. Papasok ka sa teacher education institution, College of Education, until eventually you retire. A student of the College of Education is part of that process. Okay? Kasi fino-form siya, dine-develop siya. Teacher 3 is someone who has passed through the employment screening process. Okay? And actively teaching. So ang teachers, kahit sila po ay professionals na, sila ay binibigyan pa rin ng mga development programs. Tulad na lamang, for example, ng, tulad na lamang ng mga in-service training na ating ginagawa kay taon-taon. So that's for teacher 3. The fresh graduate of Bachelor of Special Needs Education, so education degree ang tinapos niya, after niyang graduate, pupunta yan ng PRC, maglilisensya. Okay? So sino rito ang hindi talaga beneficiary na? Maaring bahagi siya, pero hindi na siya beneficiary kasi hindi mo na siya talaga i-develop. Kasi natapos na ang kanyang paninilbihan. That's the retired master teacher. Para masagot mo o para makumpleto mo ang pangungusap na ito, ang tatanungin mo ay, sino ba sa choices na to ang makikinabang sa isang development program? Sino ba sa mga choices na to ang kailangan pang i-develop? Okay? You don't really need the development program to be implemented on retired teachers. Not retiring. Retiring kailangan pa i-develop eh. Pero yung retired, kasi hindi na sila guro. Okay, you're not expecting them to practice. Next, in terms of education and related agencies, who is least related to the group? So lahat po ito ay may relevance sa isa't isa. Lahat sila nasa executive branch, lahat sila government officials. Lahat sila merong aspeto ng education. DepEd is basic ed, CHED is higher ed, TESDA is TechVoc, PRC has continuing professional development. Who is least related to the group, however? It's Teofilo Pilando of PRC. Bakit? Hindi ba siya valuable? Valuable siya. Napakahalaga po ng PRC. Pero remember, yung A, B, at C, DepEd, CHED, at TESDA, halos lahat ng Pilipino dadaan dyan. Ang DepEd at TESDA, for sure, lahat ng Pilipino na K-12 dadaan dyan. Because remember, in the K-12 curriculum, even TLE 9 and TLE 10 are already introductions to TechVoc programs. Okay, pwedeng magkaroon na ng TechVoc teacher, okay, na mag-handle ng TLE 9 at TLE 10. Kung magkokolehiyo ang bata, mararanasan niya ang serbisyo indirectly ng CHED. Okay? Pero hindi po lahat ng gumagraduate from basic education, hindi lahat ng gumagraduate ng may college degree ay magiging professional. Kasi hindi po lahat ng trabaho ay may professional license. Okay? So least related, okay, in this scenario, it's PRC. A 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck Metro Manila on April 22nd of 2019. In order to adhere to domain number 2, yan ay learning environment. Okay, if you remember, the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, domain number 2 is learning environment. Okay, at ang keyword dyan ay you want a safe and secure learning environment for their students. So, in order to adhere to domain number 2, what is the best thing to do for schools the day after the earthquake? Resume classes na ba? Wag naman. Wag munang atat. Lalo pa kapag marami ang occupants ng school building mo. Suspend classes but require staff to report? Wag din naman. Okay? Hindi naman immortal ang mga staff. So kung magkaroon ng aksidente, yes, maaring hindi sa estudyante nangyari, pero liable ka pa rin sa labor dahil yan ay mga staff. Relocate classes to another building? Tanong, yun lang bang building na yon ang umuga? Ito ay Metro Manila. So do you mean to tell me na ilalabas mo ng Metro Manila ang mga bata? Next, hindi po lahat ng paaralan ay meron pang isang building. Some schools, okay, some schools may actually have just one structure. Okay? So, the safest and the most prudent thing to do the day after the earthquake is first inspect the buildings for safety. Tingnan lang muna yung mga building. Kamusta? May mga cracks pa? And get the professional opinion of structural engineers, safety engineers, and even civil engineers before you make the decision to resume classes. That's the prudent thing to do. And I tell you, when you become teachers and even school administrators later on, you will realize na kahit ikaw ay ubod ng galing bilang isang guro, kahit may master's ka o may doctorate ka pa, kahit nag-aral ka sa pinakapamosong paaralan, hindi lamang sa Pilipinas, ngunit sa buong daigdig, hindi mo pa rin alam lahat. Hindi mo pa rin magagawa lahat ng mag-isa. And that is why, even if you have a pool of experts in the school, when you talk about safety, when you talk about administration, you will need people who may not have graduated from education or with education degrees, but are actually competent in that particular job. Right? So, ayan. Well, that concludes, no, that concludes the 10 questions, okay, assigned to me for tonight. Okay? Yan po ay pahapyaw lamang. Marami pa kayong maririnig niyan if you enroll in Hybrid 2. 3. 3 na pala.
3 na. Yes, 3
na. You can check with the former students and the graduates of MET. Okay, lalo pa nung hybrid batch. Okay, the last 2 sessions or seasons rather ng hybrid, in fairness, sila po yung maaring sila ang pinaka-inapi ng tadhana dahil paulit-ulit na lang na-postpone ang kanilang exams. Pero in all honesty, sila rin po ang pinaka-inalagaan na batches or na seasons ng ating review center. Kasi po, marami sa kanila dapat nung March 2020 pa. Okay? Nag-pandemic. So hanggang ngayon po, na sana matuloy na sa August 2021, they have continued to receive, sessions like these. We have continued inviting them. Dahil alam naman natin, okay, na yung 17 months between March 2020 to August 2021, limot mo na. Limot mo na ang karamihan. Okay? Ng inyong dapat na natutunan. So to all the viewers for tonight, if you think that even with the 20 questions na binato namin sa inyo ni Sir Marc ay may napulot kayo, may na-clarify sa inyong mga hindi pa sa inyong mga alam pero maaring hindi pa malinaw, please, we hope you take it as a good experience for tonight, and you share that good thing that you experienced tonight to other people who may need it as well. Right? So thank you very much and happy Father's Day. Have a good and a healthy and safe week ahead. Bye-bye,
Maraming salamat, Sir Philip. Tama yan. Actually, totoo yan. Na mula Hybrid 1 hanggang Hybrid 2, talagang pangako namin sa inyo na hindi namin kayo iiwanan hanggang sa huli. And hindi lang yan, mga kaibigan, not only for our MET students, but also for everybody else. Kasi tingin ko, ito I can say for certain na ang mga content na aming nilalabas sa YouTube channel na ito ay talaga namang quality at pinaghirapan ng lahat ng mga lecturers ninyo. Ayan, kasi I think marami talaga sa YouTube ngayon ang nagpapakalat ng mali-maling impormasyon. At dito sa MET, mga kaibigan, hindi po namin gagawin yan. Hanggat kaya namin, talagang we will research, we will do everything to ensure na tama ang aming hinahatid para sa inyo. Ayan, maraming salamat po muli sa inyong lahat. And hindi pa po itong huli, meron pa tayong next week, mga kaibigan. Ang ating lectures naman ay Soksay. Tingin ko Soksay ang ating next week na mga kasama. Kaya naman, join us again next week. Same time, mga kaibigan, 7 p.m. At sana i-share nyo po ang ating link. Ang link po ng video na ito sa inyong mga social media platforms. And please, subscribe po kung hindi nyo pa nagagawa. Like the videos, share the videos, and hit the notification bell. And my dear friends, maraming salamat sa inyo. Currently, we are now 701 subscribers na po tayo. And hopefully, next week, road to 800 naman. O ayan, mga kaibigan, tulungan niyo po kami na mag-road to 800 po. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. And salamat Ate Clarissa for facilitating. Salamat Sir Marc, Sir Sagun. Salamat Sir Philippe Hernandez. At maraming salamat sa ating mga manonood. Once again, happy Father's Day and see you again next week. Goodbye everybody. Maraming salamat po. See you next week po. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Subscribe po tayo. Like and share.